you up, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Hey, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to the Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, returning from, I don't know, just been gone a while. Joining me this week is John in South Jersey and Mongrovian Mike, all the way out on Monrovia, Long Island. What's up, peoples?
What's going on?
The hell was that?
Who knows? He's starting already.
Was that the
starting already? Well, let's get this out of the way. Okay. All right. Now I'm ready.
Nice. All right, cool. I see Neil's already in the chat. John Bay is already in the chat. It's too early, John. Leave John alone until later.
He has time. He has time to warm me up.
He has to earn it every week.
Yes. I have to earn
it. Deb Housen is in the chat. There's Deb. Sliding into home from a relaxing vacation.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Deb and Seth for having an amazing time. It looks like they had an amazing time.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much stuff going on right now. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but I want to start with what they've been talking about on Busted Open all week, which is the premiere of Heels on Netflix tomorrow, September 15th. I am decked out in Stephen Amell merch because I don't have any Heels merch, but this is my SummerSlam 2015 charity shirt that Stephen Amell and Cody Rhodes had done to raise. They raised like $300,000 for a children's hospital with this shirt, with the GoFundMe and everything. So this is a special shirt that I don't really ever wear. I think I wore it like twice, and then one of them was to take a picture with Cody. That, and then of course Stephen confirmed recently that he is still a member of the Bullet Club. So
yes,
I'm wearing his Vigilante Club shirt.
As you
But yeah, so I don't want to spoil anything for a lot of the folks who maybe haven't seen the show yet, but I did want to talk a little bit about how much we like the show, those of us that have seen it, but also the great interviews that they did on Busted Open this week. And you could kind of tell, hearing the actors, like either they already were fans of wrestling or they became fans through their experience, working on the show. So John, you've seen seasons 1 and 2, right?
Yes, I have.
Oh, Tony Justice is in the chat. RA is in the chat.
All right.
A bunch of people in the chat.
Cool.
Thanks, guys. So what do you, I guess I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think folks could be looking forward to for folks who haven't seen it yet?
Well, if you haven't seen it, number one, you're wrong, and you need to fix that. But two, the story and the whole premise of the show, yes, it's a wrestling centric show, but it still is an entertaining series that has characters, has interesting people, and while wrestling is centric, it's not about wrestling. It shows personal lives, personal struggles, different interactions with people. So it's all about wrestling. Well, yes, but no, and to just discount it as just some sort of wrestling show or series really doesn't do a service. The actors and all involved are great actors, besides being the physicality of the wrestling, that they're good actors. There's good stories. It has all the makings of a great series of shows, and I think that's why it's hit so well, not just with wrestling fans, but fans in general, or people who have become fans.
Yeah, and so Mike, one of the things that we it's not really a spoiler. I think everybody knows at this point that CM Punk is part of the show. He does play a character on the show.
Yeah.
He was not originally cast in that role. It was so let me backtrack for a second. I watched this afternoon Chris Van Vliet's interview with Stephen Amell. It was just posted like yesterday or today. It's a very recent interview where they pretty much talk wrestling for like an hour and 20 minutes. It's fantastic. but Steven said that they had originally cast someone else for Ricky Rabies and his girlfriend, but due to the pandemic, they had to back out of the project. So someone got a hold of CM Punk, who joined the cast, and they believe that at least in some small way, that sort of reignited Punk's either love for wrestling or sort of started him back on the path of his eventual return. So
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting, but definitely check out that interview with Chris Van Vliet. But Mike, what was I know you listened to all the interviews this week. What was your favorite interview with cast this week?
Oh, geez. I don't know the characters because I haven't watched it yet. I mean, it's premiering tomorrow on Netflix. Tomorrow.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, tomorrow is the 15th. And I can't
that's
wait,
perfect.
But the guy who was just on the actor that was just on the last one that was on.
Alexander Ludwig. Yeah, he plays
with
Stephen
Dave
Amell's
asked
brother.
if he's going to come back, and he wasn't sure, but if they get him back, that sounds like it'll be good. And I mean, of course, O'Malley, man, you gotta love him, and anything he does is just stellar. From sitcoms to serious shows like this, and I can't wait to start binging it tomorrow. I mean, I'm not sure how many episodes are in each season, and
there's 8 in each.
Yeah.
They're 8.
So,
and how long are they? Are they an hour long, or are they less?
About an hour, hour and a half.
Okay,
yeah,
so
they're good.
By tomorrow, I'm definitely probably going to have binged through at least the first season. So
a couple of things. It's interesting because one of my favorite characters on the show is a character named Wild Bill, and I'm not giving any plot points away, but he's played by Chris Bauer, who was an awesome interview this week. And
that was great too. Yes.
Chris Bauer was on The Wire, and he was fantastic in season 2 of The Wire. And this is a completely different. It shows the range of the actor if you actually go back and watch the two characters side by side. But I loved his interview because you could just tell the immense amount of respect that he had for the wrestling business, and even in the conversations that he had in answering like Bully's questions. I really liked it. So I posted something on Twitter and he replied, and it was all cool. I was all happy. Yeah. But anyway, I'm excited. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Oh, I would say my favorite interview from the cast was James Harrison. And this is a guy that isn't an actor per se. He came from a completely different world. He's a professional, and some say should be in the Hall of Fame football player for the Steelers. And to see him adapt to this role, and while the physicality of it may have not been as difficult as some other people, but just to see, this guy isn't an actor. He is trying to get work and all that, but this was the first major thing he did, and he absolutely killed it. And I hope they bring him back. And just to hear that the not so much fans, but actual real wrestlers are giving praise to the cast and how well it's written and how well it's done, I think that's cool for them to take this thing completely foreign to them and get flowers for it.
Yeah, and I want to bring up something that Deb puts in the chat, and this is an excellent point.
Definitely.
Stars has 19 million subs, which is a lot. There was a pretty good audience that did see Heels on its initial run, but Netflix has 277 million subs, and like Triple H said, once Raw is on Netflix, they're going to be in front of 80% of the world will have access to it. Yeah. So the same is true for the same platform for Heels, right? So this is now going to reach not only a wider audience from a subscriber perspective, but it's now a global platform.
But I want to ask you a question, Front Row. I want to ask you something. Does that show The Wrestlers with Al Snow, was that Netflix?
I thought it was Amazon Prime, but it might have been Netflix. It was on one of the bigger streams. It was on a big platform.
Yeah, it was on a big streaming service.
Yeah, a lot of people saw it.
Amazon.
It might have been Amazon.
John Bay says yes. John Bay says yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you know, you had that. That's on there. You knew WWE. You know, you knew Raw was coming here. It's just Netflix has their fingers on the pulse of something that wrestling is friggin' popular. They putting out the Vince McMahon documentary. They're you know, they got heels, and they're probably I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we're gonna see a season 3 heels come to Netflix. And they're gonna tease it with us. You know, we're probably gonna wait a year like we wait for Cobra Kai, you know.
Yeah, so again, I'm not gonna spoil any of the plot, but Steven said in the interview that he views season 1 and season 2 as one season. You'll understand it when you see the storyline. So if you look at that as one cohesive, like one big chapter, and then everybody's going to get an opportunity to get caught up. Some time has passed. He did say that they had already made some strong pitches for season 3. So based on the social media reaction, based on the views, I don't see, especially since it has to be a relatively small budget show. It's not $10 million an episode to film heels, right? It's in a barn for the most part.
Yeah, basically.
So I think,
in a VFW hall.
Yeah,
That's where half of the indie shows are
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
Yeah. But I'm excited, Mike. This is going to be great. So like every week we can get you're going to binge it, but I want to get your feedback on the show next week about what you thought, since you're one of the people in the group that hasn't seen it yet.
I'm just going to trust the crew, because there isn't one person that says, that's watched it, that has said anything other than how great it is. And that's from what we hear people on Busted Open, what I hear from my crew here, you know, our extended crew, you know, I'm all in, you know.
I think the litmus test for me is like, okay, I'm a fan, I watch it and I enjoy it. You know, we know a little bit behind the curtain, whatever. But then when I hear Hall of Famers, veterans, and people from all over the industry go, no, that was a really well done story that respects the industry without just being a puff piece. Like the story's deep. And it's
this might be there, not in a spoofy way like it is, but Spinal Tap is to heavy metal, to metal and rock bands. This might be to wrestlers, this show, because it shows it's not the spoofy way though. You know what I mean? In a serious, respectful way, they're paying homage to wrestling, and they're doing it great. And they're getting new fans, so they're getting people that don't even watch it, because I'm sure there's a million people out there that love Stephen Amell that don't even know he loves wrestling, or that he was, you know, that he fought, that he had that great feud with Stardust, and so
yeah. And again, I highly recommend this interview with Stephen, because I've seen all of his interviews with like Michael Rosenbaum, and I've seen all his interviews about like him talking about the All In match and all that stuff. He goes into such detail about his history with wrestling, behind the scenes at WWE, how certain things came to be, and it's really. But don't watch that interview unless you've seen the show.
And I'm going to say that Michael O'Malley. You know, it's find somebody who says a bad thing about Michael O'Malley, or somebody who hates anything he does, because he's fucking great.
Yeah, he's great.
And he's a fan. And he's actually a wrestling fan. It's just not.
What? That too. Stephen Amell is a fan and respects the craft. He's a fan and respects the craft. Mike Walker Hauser is a fan. You know, we have a lot of people, and it's not. And there's a lot of athletes too that respect it too. You see plenty of guys like football, all these athletes that they get in the ring, they go, oh my God, just run in the ring, just running the ropes. They'd rather go to the goddamn combines.
So I'll give you one quick story from the interview that I thought was really funny. When they were originally casting heels, they had someone else in mind for the lead role. And they kept going to the executives of the networks that they were trying to pitch the show to. They go to different networks to try to get someone to buy the show, right? At every stop, they said, did Stephen Amell pass? And like, no, we didn't. And so the project just kept coming back to him until he said yes. And they had someone else in mind, and even the executives are going, no, you need to get Stephen Amell for this show. Like, so it's a funny. There's a lot more to that story, but it's a funny moment. Yeah, John, I'm not going to put that up, John.
MJF Scarf, man. Put his
Yes.
post up there, man.
Yes. Thank you, MJF Scarf. Appreciate
Thanks,
you as
brother.
always.
Thanks, brother.
We've had,
and you know what, MJF Scarf, we feel your pain. We know you're going to be missing going to Mission Pro shows, that they're on hiatus now, but we know that there's plenty of great independent wrestling in Texas, and I believe they'll be back probably. You know, I think they'll come back and do something. So, hey, brother, thanks for the shout out, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you. We've had the opportunity to spend some time in person with him, and he's a great dude.
He is.
Okay, so Smackdown is now on USA, and last night was the premiere episode, led off with the new Smackdown theme by Megan Thee Stallion. And I don't care whether you're a fan of Megan Thee Stallion or not. She's an enormous star and brings a lot of people.
I just want to say I'm not offended.
Oh, okay. Well,
you know what? Oh, I'm offended. Wait, they got a song from a woman that's on like 50 commercials if you watch TV for a half hour. Give me a freaking break.
She's one of the biggest music stars on so and she's a wrestling fan. She tweets about wrestling pretty regularly. So that's awesome. But the show itself was really cool. They have new logo, new entrance. We saw a lot of new they've been working a lot of new camera angles. They brought in some of the production elements from Raw over to SmackDown. So overall, what were your feelings about the show? I know not everybody's got a chance to maybe see it yet, but
overall, it was, other than a new network and some new graphics and etc. It's basically still the same high quality show that we've come to expect on Friday nights. It's just on a different destination, and that will continue for a little while, and it'll change again. But we're still very much interested, and despite the fact that they made a big deal this week that, and rightfully so, all WWE products are on USA right now, and but to lead off with Solo and Cody cage match for the title, to lead off a television show, that's a PLE main event. So you want to talk about starting off hot, and then of course when you add in the factors of here comes the Bloodline, and all of them looking way too athletic and comfortable climbing up and down that cage way too fast. Even Jacob Fatu, they looked way too comfortable doing that. But still, you had the Bloodline involvement, and then of course the OTC comes out and does what he does, and it just reinvigorates and reiterates that Roman is not going away, and the problem that exists between the Bloodline is not going away, and I'm here for it. And how they develop this now in this new chapter is just as interesting. Could we see a Roman Cody team up somewhere in the near future? Is that even possible to think about
that's the
at
match.
This point?
That's the match that they've booked for Bad Blood. I mean, Roman and Cody are now, they signed the contract, right? So Roman and Cody are teaming up against Solo and Jacob Fatu of Bad Blood. At least that's what's on paper now.
Right. But a year from now, we never would have thought that would be possible.
Agreed.
And that's only a year ago. And again, solid show. Everybody seemed to understand that WWE was making a big deal of it being on the USA, and everybody delivered.
Thank you, Ari, our original tribal chief.
Oh, okay.
OTC, that's right.
Yeah, it's a good point because we've seen the Bloodline. You go back to Tuesday.
Sure.
So the bloodline on NXT.
NXT.
Like they're wreaking havoc everywhere. I
Yes.
was watching TNA with you guys on Thursday and Friday going, I don't know, they might show up here too. Who knows?
Sure, why not? They were live.
Hey,
They had a
listen,
pay-per-view.
according to Bully, they got 96 cousins. So
Right. They could be anywhere.
and we know is it Hikaleo in the wings? Hikaleo?
Is Hikaleo, is Zilla,
Yeah.
is Lance.
Zilla? Hey,
You know,
if they,
but
listen.
Hikaleu is signed, I believe. Or that's the rumor.
Yeah.
Word is.
Juicy for now. They might, like Triple H might want him to lose a little bit of weight, but if he came in, he would kill people.
Yes.
But I think this is the conversation. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I
Sorry.
was going to say, Juicy was going to go on the Jacob plan because Jacob absolutely got himself in really good shape to be on WWE.
Yeah.
And just real quick before
let's
you
be
continue.
real. For anyone that never saw Jacob Fatu, and I doubt they haven't. But if you haven't seen Jacob Fatu, he lost a lot. He lost a lot of weight, but
easily
he moved the weight. What he did with that extra weight wasn't anything less than what he's doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Trust
it's
me,
easily
you
50 pounds.
You haven't seen. He hasn't even. He proverbially hasn't shown you all his shit yet.
Absolutely.
And you are gonna friggin' be astounded.
And other thing that we're not considering or no one's really talking about, there is an actual female contingent to the bloodline that has not even been scratched the surface of yet. So if you think all the male versions are coming out of the woodwork, trust me, there are just as many women in the bloodline and in that tree that it's literally, Paul Heyman was right when he said the bloodline was going to dominate for 100 years because that's how deep this family is.
Hey, John, like Lemmy said, keep your powder dry.
That's right.
Keep your powder dry. Like they don't have to introduce. We know that there's a lineup of Tongan women out there that Samoan women out there that and at the top of the list is of course Nia Jax. You have Ava. You have Ava there who could wreak havoc with her managerial style. So Paul Heyman. I don't even think Paul Heyman will concede that they're out of the fourth inning yet.
No, probably not. That we're still early in this game, and
he said that on Sam's interview, right? Like he said, I know I said that, but I don't even think we're in the third inning yet.
Is there any? Just think of Roman Reigns. Is there anybody else that single-handedly got this many different superstars over in a matter of 2-3 years?
Yeah, and I think that's something that John Cena talked about when he was on Busted Open. He's like, look, when I would work with somebody, I could get them over, but then when our time was done. He said everybody in Roman's orbit gets over just for being part of the story.
Yeah.
Main event Jey Uso, Sami
It's a bigger
Zayn,
reach.
Kevin Owens.
It's literally, a who's who and your top stars in the company right now.
It really is. It's astronomical, or as Archie Bunker used to say, gastronomical.
Yeah.
Hey, both. It works.
Yeah.
But the only thing I'll say is and I'm excited for all those people that you just mentioned, but I do think that Triple H and the writing team are very, very good at slow burns, and I do not want to see 27 Samoans and Tongans on my screen right now. Like I like what they're doing with the people that they have engaged in the story. There's plenty of chapters to tell without bringing in 5 more people.
Sure. Absolutely.
The other thing, I don't know if you guys listen to Busted Open this morning, Mark Henry was talking about Jacob Fatu and talking about he's the real deal. And like we kind of know that from like a character standpoint, but he goes, that motherfucker used to pick out fights with people in the audience. Like he got in trouble and like had some real issues with fighting with audience members. Yeah. So like that's probably not going to happen in WWE, but his his reputation is there. So it was interesting because if you watch the interaction in the ring between Jacob Fatu and Solo, it's very different. Like Paul Heyman used to be very reverent to Roman Reigns, but Jacob has his hands in the prayer, but he looks like he's hyper focused. Like I think there's something else going on there.
You always have the illusion that while it seems like he is Solo's right-hand man, he absolutely has his own agenda, and at any moment he can act on that agenda. And there ain't a damn thing Solo or the Gorillas of Destiny can do about it. There's nobody that, if he decides to act on any of his urges, he's done. They're done.
Yeah, he's Bruce Banner right now, and if you piss him off, the other guy's coming out.
Yeah,
we don't want that other guy yet.
True.
It all depends if they're listening to an audience, because like I'm wondering, is there going to be a point where Jacob Fatu doesn't get booed, but everyone else in the ring will get booed? Like there's no problem. Like everyone hates the other three guys in the new bloodline, but I don't know if Jacob Fatu is as hated.
He'll do something that'll get them hated for sure. I do.
He's got to.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna have a problem getting heat. No,
agreed. I do want to. So, John Bay, I 100% disagree. It is way too early to bring The Rock back. Yes, down the road that will happen, but we are like, I wouldn't do it in 2024. I would.
We're still waiting for Paul Heyman.
Right. Right. And Paul Heyman said on the interview with Sam, he's like, I'm only going to come back when it's impactful and it means something. And they're not going to do the same thing. The Rock's not going to come back on some random Monday or Friday. Like it's going to have to be, the story's going to build to the point where the fans and the story demands his presence. Like right now it doesn't.
So now John Bay admits he's just said that.
He's just trying to push the buttons.
He just said that.
I admire your dedication, John Bay. I admire your dedication.
Yes. Hey, you know what? It's his gimmick, bro.
It is. That's okay.
It's his take. It's like get these hands. It's
Yeah, you're right.
So the couple of things really stuck out to me. I know we're going to focus a lot on SmackDown, but it's where like a lot of the big stuff was happening this week. And I really, really, really like the way that Nick Aldis continues to run as general manager. Even with these big stars having this heavy action and feud and all the shit talking, all the stuff that happened last night, he was still like, no, this is my friggin' show.
Yeah.
And he took charge of the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I showed you guys the meme on when we were talking and stuff. It was the meme that compared Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, and it compared everything. Yes. Like Adam Pearce can never break up a fight. Nick Aldis can get in the ring with 10 guys and stop it before the fight, and it just goes all the way down the line that all the good points of Nick Aldis, all the bad points, and at the end it goes, Adam Pearce is bald, Nick Aldis has great hair. And it's really a great freaking meme. I think it's on Wrestling Lover, but go ahead. I got to give him a hat tip at least.
Well, yeah, but I think that's absolutely part of it. Now, those of us who know of Nick Aldis, don't let his own fancy suits fool you. There is a very in shape and very capable wrestler under that custom suit, and has no problem.
Only a short, not only just maybe 5.5 years ago that man had a series of matches with one Cody Rhodes.
Sure, he is
just two.
Was and NWA champion, and who brought great acclaim. Brought the NWA. Helped resuscitate it back to life with Billy Corgan. So,
really, I absolutely believe that absolutely sells the credibility of Nick Aldis. And the funny thing is, Adam Pearce has that same kind of credibility
Yes,
They're
he does.
they
we
haven't
joke
made.
about Adam.
Well,
But he could throw
you know,
down too.
Hey, Scrap Daddy is a former NWA
Scrap
champion as
Daddy,
well.
another NWA champ.
5-time.
That'd be great if it led to something, you know. Hey,
who knows?
hey, listen, we got Nigel McGuinness and Brian Danielson,
Sure.
you know, coming back together, and you never know, man.
Well, and I think that's the thing about wrestling too. Like the characters that have the most connectivity with the fans are the people who are closest to their own personality. A lot of us that have been to like the early days of the NWA tapings and been around these people a lot. I've had the opportunity to have a bunch of conversations with Nick Aldis, and the guy you see on TV is pretty close to the real guy. Like he doesn't take shit from anybody. Like
No.
he doesn't.
No.
And he's also, I noticed they use camera angles.
Isn't he about 6'4" too? Isn't he about 6'4"?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Look
He's
how
actually
he fills out those suits like that. Those shoulders look about 4 feet fucking wide.
well, and that's what I was going to say. Nick's actually bigger than most of the people that he stands in the ring with for the most part. So he's imposing, and he's like you said, he's a former NWA champion. He's got all the credibility in the world to stand in there and hold his ground. But I did really like the moment with him and Roman, where Roman sticks out his hand and he gives him the contract, and Roman's like, "What the fuck are we doing? Like, that's not."
Yeah.
Like, he takes it. Give me the microphone. that was a good moment.
Yes.
But yeah, I love what he's doing. I love what the other thing too. I noticed like when Kathy Kelly was doing the interviews backstage, they labeled them reporters and they let the folks backstage actually ask questions as if they were catching a reporter was catching somebody backstage. It's not just
do you notice all the stuff? Do you notice all the stuff they're showing like in the beginning of the show or somewhere in the first few minutes? They show the Chiron on the bottom and it just says everyone who the two announcers, the backstage interviewer, and whatever the reporter, and then also at the end of the show, executive producer Paul Levesque. You know, and another person who I can't remember their name because we don't know who the hell they are. But
I think it was Bruce Pritchard.
It's very interesting how now you see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny that they had closing credits, almost like a sitcom.
Yeah.
There's so many things they do differently now with the camera angles and the production quality. I mean, the production quality has always been top notch, but it's just the way they do it now is just different. It hits different.
Yeah, it's a lot of little things, and as the show progresses and evolves, I'm sure more and more stuff will happen.
And that aerial camera angle, I never want that to go away. That and the drone, that and the drone coming into the stadium or arena, is unbelievable. I love it.
And you know, not to be a conspiracy theorist, because who knows? I mean, Rampage is on at 10 o'clock, and there just happened to be a 12-minute overrun last night, which is a thing that they can do in USA that they couldn't do on network broadcast television.
Right.
So, you know, are they keeping some of that audience from switching over? Maybe. I guess we'll see. But it was interesting. I know when it was 9:59 and I saw Roman walking towards the ring, and we were all on Zoom going, "Holy shit, we're gonna get an overrun on Smackdown.
Bonus time."
Yeah. It's a little slap saying, "Keep my wife's name out of your mouth."
But yeah, the other thing too, I thought was if you have any question about the importance of Roman Reigns, when he made his entrance, he was heading to the ring, and they went to picture in picture, and the entire picture in picture was just him in the ring, posing, like walking, like there were no action, there was no wrestling. It was literally just a picture in picture of Roman for 3 minutes or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that for anybody else.
No. You know, Cody doesn't even get that.
No. So I thought that the Bloodline storyline, once again, every time someone goes, "Oh, I'm getting bored," well, all right, then they give you something else. You go, "Okay, well, now I'm interested in."
Right.
You know, Cody says that I don't want to be any part of this. This is Bloodline business. Leave me out of it. And then by the end of the show, everybody's getting their ass kicked, and he's sucked back into the story again. So
beginning, middle, and end was all about Cody Bloodline. Cody Bloodline.
Yep. But with pepper with a lot of other stuff.
Not going away.
No.
I do want to say my MVP of the week, my person that I think had the most impact with the least amount of TV time was probably Chelsea Green. She had that match with Julia on Tuesday night, where it was a competitive match, but she did lose, and then she got beat up by Michin on Friday. So, but every time she's on screen, she could lose for the next 10 years, and she'd still be one of the most entertaining people on the show.
Absolutely.
She is the and Nick Nemeth even referenced it. She's the female Dolph Ziggler.
But
like,
that's high praise.
She can lose and everyone will still love her. But talking about that, Julia too, the NXT just NXT was phenomenal. It was like, God, how do you choose between NXT, TNA, and Smackdown? And it's really getting hard to just choose what show topped the other, because it's what a time to be a fucking wrestling fan.
Absolutely.
It's wild because, like you said, we're watching all these shows. We watched, so possibly we could watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA, Victory Road, and any of those people could show up in any of those shows.
Sure.
Across this week.
And any of those shows could have been your favorite show of the week, and there's no argument to be had.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's my point. Back in the day, if you had a show like SmackDown or Raw start off or whatever, Nitro, whatever, start off with a freaking killer steel cage match and then end the way it ended, like that would be the show of the freak. Nothing could top it. And then what? No. Little old NXT. You got to see Julia and Chelsea. You got to see Meat Mountain.
Yeah, Hammerstone.
The WWE universe got to experience Meat effing Mountain. God damn it. Hammerstone, man.
In honor of Gary Hammerstone.
And Jordan Grace. And Jordan Grace. The Knockouts Championship.
Of
and
course.
Roseberry.
Yes.
And all ego, Ethan Page stirring the freaking pot. And then a killer freaking last man standing match. As long as you put it on mute so you didn't have to listen to Booker T.
Right.
That was it.
Yeah. It's a wild time because, and this is my only, I won't say it's a gripe, but the only thing I would like to see is I would like to see bigger WWE stars on TNA programming. It's great that they're having Wendy Chu and all these other people have had crossover, but I would like to see a Becky Lynch, a Charlotte, or Naomi, like someone big from, I mean, Naomi was there before, but I mean, as a main roster WWE star, you get like Shayna Baszler shows up on TNA. I know they just had Victory Road, but whatever their next pay-per-view is, it does kind of have to be on live programming if it's going to be someone big. I think
they're definitely going to build it up. But when there's a pay-per-view if there's a pay-per-view and then they say major NXT star or whatever and WWE star is going to challenge Jordan, then there's going to be something really cool.
I think we talked about this. We talked about, I don't know if it was on the show recently or whether we talked about it on Zoom, but one of the people that I think that they're not really doing anything with that would be a good fit to cross over would be a Shinsuke Nakamura, because there's some people that he can really work with in TNA. Josh Alexander comes to mind immediately.
And that seems what they do with NXT. Like it seems like either Triple H says you will do good down there, or maybe Sean says, hey, we could use these guys. Like, when they brought the Good Brothers down, or they bring, okay, the Street Profits were a throw-in, but that was a great thing for Axiom and Frazier to have a match with someone of the caliber of the Street Profits, so.
Yeah,
it really is. And then Baron Corbin going down there was godsend for both him and for NXT. So,
and Baron Corbin would be a great guy to have over on TNA. That he would be amazing fit.
That I would consider a bigger pop going in. I still say let Jason out. Alexander come and help Ethan Page, and reunite the North.
As we've been proven already, anything is possible.
Right. I mean, the whole Joe Hendry experience was very successful.
Yes, and that
we've been talking about. We haven't even mentioned Joe Hendry. So I mean, it's like crazy.
And like we discussed on Zoom, and I brought it up. I'd love to see a Rascals reunion, and now it's all falling apart since. But we had a Rascals reunion because it made perfect sense, and and now it's true. Like Sam Roberts famously says, speculate wildly because anything is possible.
Yeah, and everything counts, and all these little things that we're seeing, all these little tidbits, could be paying off. They could result in something interesting. Something that I wanted to talk about that I think Mike and I were talking about yesterday or the day before, and it's like there are wrestlers that are miscast, whether they're good guys or bad guys. And we were talking specifically about the Kevin Owens Cody Rhodes relationship, and how Kevin Owens is essentially a bad guy, and he was fighting against his nature to try to have competitive match and do everything the right way, and not go back to that, to that heelish tendencies to win the match. But there are definitely some other examples of people that you look at and you go, that person wasn't cast correctly. And a name that comes to mind right away is when Dominic Mysterio was originally with Rey Mysterio, and that was fine. That was a good intro to the WWE universe, get him acclimated. But what he's done as a villain.
But didn't we sorry for interrupting, but didn't we kind of think that Dominic was going to eventually turn on? Like, wasn't that what everybody was waiting for, especially once they won the tag team championships? But yes, I believe what you're saying.
But that's my point exactly. Is I don't think he worked that well as a good guy. I think people either somehow got a feeling from him, or maybe that was intentional. But I mean, obviously the prison thing, and once he joined the Judgment Day, everything changed. But there's definitely a few of those folks. Like, I'll give you another example. Like, MJF did not really work that well as a babyface. Like, he made the most of it, but he made us chuckle. He's a bad guy.
He made us chuckle.
Like
when they had the little Adam Cole.
It seemed very forced.
Those were fun.
Forced out of him to be a babyface. He is a natural heel.
So that's my question to you guys. Who in the current landscape would you look at and say, that person needs to be the opposite of what they are right now?
And
I'm looking at the chat too, guys. Give us some answers here. Give me your opinions.
Yeah, definitely.
Now you're not necessarily talking about is their gimmick or character working or not working, but
no, I'm asking what are they today, and you look at them and go, no, they need to be the other thing.
Okay. All right. I don't
because the people that I thought they just recently turned, like Rhea and Damien. I always said, wow, because Finn and Bobblehead, his tag team partner, they got real heat. Carlito got funny heat, but he's still a heel, and of course Dominic is just like, I mean, if you want your hearing to go, just have Dominic come out and you'll be deafened by the boos.
Yeah, well, this is absolutely a heel turn for Finn Balor. And the fact that everybody, it's kind of a no shit kind of thing, but
you know what though, and if Finn Balor came out as the demon at a pay-per-view, we get cheered. No matter who he's facing.
But he's not. Like, he's currently doing a very good job being a bad guy.
He can't bring the demon out because the demon is. It's almost like what they're doing with the Wyatt Six. Like, they came out as, they were definite heels. Even though they attacked bad people, they were doing real heelish stuff in that first vignette.
They committed murder.
They committed murder. Yeah, I'm still waiting to find out how that guy is that had about a pint of blood underneath Dexter Loomis.
Well, okay, so here's let me give you this option. So when we look at the Swerve Hangman feud that just culminated in an incredible match, like I know people were basically cheering for Swerve, but I mean the entire story for the most part, he was doing some really shitty things. Like neither
Exactly.
of them
Yeah,
are clear cut.
it was confusing. It was confusing because I went back and forth. I was like, okay, Swerve was the heel because he went in and he was over it, cutting a promo over the baby's crib and all of that. And then, then Hangman did real bad shit. Okay. And then it goes back and then Swerve cuts that promo where he goes, I'm stalking your pregnant wife, and I'm watching you again. And
all kinds of felonies.
And then he turns around and says, oh, wait, hold my beer. And he burns down the guy's childhood house. So I don't know.
All kinds of felonies.
As far as I'm concerned, they could both kill each other now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was one of my most favorite endings to a wrestling TV show, literally ever, was that house on fire. It was incredible.
It was a great match. Whether you liked some of the things that they did in the ring or not, and even though it's unexplainable, like why would you lug around a fucking toolbox with a goddamn cement brick in it? But whatever.
Hey. It worked.
And a syringe. I need a cement block, a syringe, and a staple gun.
Yeah.
Okay,
fucking
Elder.
guy at Home Depot's
Mike.
looking at you like you're fucking fakakta.
Mike, what did we talk about last night? Who is the one character on that show that should be bringing a syringe to the ring?
DMD.
Yeah.
And she could
Why?
get
Because
one
she's
of
a
those
goddamn doctor.
She did that because even before they hook up the big needle, they got that like where you put your two fingers in. It's that big giant syringe like thing. You know when you've been to the dentist type, and they got. Oh man. And it could just be. It doesn't even have to be a real freaking syringe. I'll suspend disbelief. Trust me, man. I don't like that shit.
But wouldn't it be funny if she came to the ring and like shot up somebody's arm and then they couldn't use their arm because they had no for the whole match?
And they could do like Ace Ventura and fucking Ace Ventura goes to Africa with the fucking.
Yep.
So good.
But she's another example of someone that they kept trying to put forth as a good guy, and you're like, she's a heel. Yeah. She's a heel.
She's an absolute heel.
Yeah.
Even when they were going face, and then she's not the champ, and she's walking in front of the champs.
Right. Well, that's another discussion because but the whole, Britt Baker role model gimmick was absolutely flat. I mean, granted, if she was injured and they had to do something, but it was so forced. And even now, you have natural grassroots thing. With
the one time where she naturally got over was where she had the blood dripping down, and she found the hard cam and that.
She always finds the hard.
That was the lights out match. Yeah, trust me, Britt always finds the hard cam.
And of course, who was it with? Yes. But I'm just
maybe the roving cam.
Yeah, but that's what she does. So anyway,
I'm going to answer this. So John Bay, Kenny Omega's injured. He's away right now. I don't think he's in charge of anything. I think he's taking time
I believe
off.
He's still.
I don't know who's in charge of the women's division currently. Nor do I work there, so I don't really know. But I do know from what I've seen.
People that
I do know that Kenny is away.
People that work there might not know who's in charge of the women.
Well, that's very true too.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
Who's to say? I could say.
Say?
I'll say it.
I don't need a cease and desist. So I will. So I do want to pivot real quick.
Pivot.
I think, and you guys probably have been talking about this a lot lately. AEW's done a much better job with story, not across the board, not everything's great, but the stories that they're telling right now, the big stories that have like real depth to them, I'm really into.
Meat on the bones of some of the stories there. Yes,
I think for me, that me personally, obviously the Bryan Danielson story is great, but me personally, I'm really invested in what Moxley's doing with Pac and Marina Shafir, because 2 years ago,
He can't breathe. There's no hole in the way.
We got to give him a hole to breathe. He's suffocating. That's a felony in some states, sir.
Poor Dave. But
lucky I don't have a syringe.
So I mentioned 2 years ago, Moxley did Renee's podcast, and he said, I want to get this version of her from Bloodsport onto AEW programming. I don't like what they're doing with her right now. I wish I could work with her. 2 years later, I think it was like 2 years later, Mark shows up with Marina Shafir looking like, as RA said the other night, looking like Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, all serious, jacked to the gills, kicking ass like the MMA star she is. And this is what she should be
There's
doing.
no weird classical music that nobody gets into.
Right. No.
Sorry for all the guys out there with the feet and sock fetish that wanted to catch a pair of socks in the audience. That's over with.
Yes.
You got a serious ass kicking woman coming down to the ring with Moxley. And
did you see?
She's almost like a version of China. She's like almost his bodyguard, or she's like her. I can't wait to see her and Camille go at it.
When you're watching that entrance, when they were walking to the ring and she was in front of Mox, and someone went to step to them, and Mox went to go to the security, and she pushed Mox behind and then grabbed the security guard and Ippon Seoinage, judo throw, whatever you want to call it, boom, right to the ground. And it wasn't light. That guy felt it right on the concrete. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I hope they gave an extra hot dog for that. I'm really excited to see what you do there.
You're right.
And I think this was probably the only time in AEW that I watched Pac, and I was like, okay, now I'm interested in him.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They all have a perfect gripe if you go back and think about all their characters, and then Mox is just joining. He explained his position like, you know what, his lordship is gone.
And
you were always his favorite, but I was always the most like him.
Well, and Mox said, like, this is not your company anymore, and we don't know. We still don't know what that means, and that's great. I think, if Mox is the one writing the story, which typically he does write his own stuff, I have a high level of faith in his ability to give us something interesting and long term. So I'm tuned in.
There's been some good promos, on AEW. So, it's not always gloom and doom when it comes to them. And there's things that are really good and things that we wish they would fix. And I'm glad that Mark had the private chat with Bryce Remsburg. We know privately we give him heat and stuff, but you work that stuff out in privacy, and you never take it onto social media. And
sure,
that was really good and productive. And they could use a little work on the refereeing and stuff, but that's neither here nor there. There's been some really good stories going on. They really have kept us in. We were worried about, oh my God, a Dynamite. There's two big pay-per-views 2 weeks apart from each other. Right. The go-home shows. We're always worried about what's going to happen. Of course, we know that in the past they had the tendency of the proverbial 5 pounds of shit in the 2 pound bag,
But they were also smart. They were smart this year by giving you a combo on the pay-per-views. Yeah, that was smart. The other thing I will say, like, I'm still frustrated with the women's division storylines because I don't think that they're quite clicking. I don't think Mercedes is giving us Sasha Banks NXT level of heat. Like, it still feels very formulaic to me. I like that they're letting Camille be Camille. a little bit more. The first few weeks were a little wonky, but the imagery that we're seeing with her being, the heater, being the bodyguard and stuff, I think that's good because Camille is a powerhouse. Like I remember seeing her in the NWA and watching her beat the shit out of people in the ring, and like she's legit
scary. She's legit scary. There's only a few women that with that stature. There's Camille. There's
Charlotte maybe.
There's Charlotte. There's obviously
Rhea.
Nia Jax. Nia Jax is
Rhea. I don't think Rhea's nearly as big as Camille. I mean, you're right. She has that presence, but Camille's
I'll give you one, and yes, it's a personal one, but the motherfucking King, Kylan King.
John, that's what I was going to say. Kylan King.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, go find your way to see the women's title match in NWA.
There's big women out there that can impose themselves, and that's what I want to see Camille do. I want to see Camille do what she did in the NWA. She was an imposing figure. She didn't leave her feet for friggin' 3 years there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Camille being paired with Mercedes initially is good. It gives her a big spotlight. I think that's very good from a visibility standpoint. But I think at some point, and Camille can talk.
We're
she
waiting
can cut a
absolutely.
promo.
Yeah,
we're waiting for the turn.
Yeah, when Camille decides that she's had enough and she's just going to beat the crap out of people until she holds a title, that's the Camille you're going to get. And I'm here for it.
She's the proverbial Wardlow to Sasha, to Mercedes MJF.
Well, just how we're all waiting for Luchasaurus to finally turn on Christian. We're waiting for Camille to turn on Mercedes, and I'm here for both.
That might happen next week. You never know.
It could.
Yeah, I do hope that they continue to slow burn some stuff because, a friend of ours said that they're an excellent Act 1 company. They do a very, very good job of setting the stage, but they have a low batting average when it comes to Act 2 and Act 3. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity with the people that they have on their roster right now to tell some really good long-term stories. So there's like 2 or 3 big things on there right now that I'm like, okay, I'm paying attention. So we'll have to wait and see. I know we were sort of like what's happening with Thunder, but Thunder said on the show this week she's concussed and she's out, on protocol. So that makes sense. So they're not ignoring that story. They just can't do anything with it right now. Hikaru Shida obviously is big. Jamie Hayter's back. Like there's some really heavy hitters in that division that can wrestle their asses off, and I'd like to see them given better stories. So
sure.
John Payne. I'm not putting that up, John. I know those people. They're nice people.
And they're married. They can do that.
Has been trying to go for that second GF5 since he got the first one.
By the way,
he's trying, and John's no selling him.
Mm-hmm.
Completely unrelated. Congratulations to Tom Latimer, who is your new NWA champion.
Yes,
I have been so waiting for him to get that title since like 2019. Like the first time I saw Tom wrestle, I saw him wrestle in the first season of Power against Trevor Murdoch. He and Trevor Murdoch had an absolute brawl. And it was amazing. And I was like, that guy needs to be champion.
And if you want to see it, go on the CW app and you could watch it. You could catch up on the NWA Power seasons. They're all up there and you could catch up with it. And me, John, and Neil are can't wait. We're going there right here on beautiful. On beautiful Long Island, the most magical place in the world, the NWA is going to be here in Huntington Station. And we're psyched to go, man, and it's going to be fun.
That's going to be awesome.
Latimer's going to be there.
Yeah.
NWA is always a good time. We've, some of the folks in this group have been to a lot of the shows, and it's always awesome. It's always super fun. The NWA goes to Great lengths to put on great shows. I will put. I do want to put this up because I know, John, you're going to agree with this. More Deanna.
Absolutely.
Oh,
That's a given.
please.
Dirty, my man. Absolutely. Give me more of my
Anytime we
OG
get the
Jersey girl.
girls, it makes John very happy.
Yes, I love my Jersey girls, and I will always ride for them no matter what.
Yes.
And that doesn't matter what company they work for. They are my Jersey girls, and they know who they are.
I do want to agree with John Bay on this. So he misses the old Power intro. I mean,
yes,
it's nostalgic for me. You know, we, again, not to beat a dead horse, but we were there for the first like 4 seasons of tapings, and then a couple more after that sporadically. There was something special about that intro. There was something special about being in the GPB studios with that cast of characters, with your Eli Drake and James Storm and Nick and you know and Thunder and Camille and all these different big characters, and a lot of those folks have gone. Ricky Starks and Zicky Dice, and just so many people were there that wanted to do big things.
As much as we liked when they had 5 minutes alone, Pantera, because we all love and adore Pantera. So, but we were still like, you know what? That docking into the fire, we need that. It's karate.
Well, I remember Billy saying, "Look, we want each season to have its own like personality."
There, boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Flag.
Always flying high, and I can't wait to meet Aaron Stevens too.
Aaron's a good dude. I like him.
We're gonna name drop front row to everybody in NWA.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I've showed that on the show before. I won't show it now, but yeah, we did a family reunion thing at one of the tapings. It was funny. But yeah, Aaron's a nice guy, and
he's awesome.
Bigger in person than you'd think. I didn't realize
he's a big dude.
As big as he was.
He is a sizable figure.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're overrun. We're eating into AEW time, just like SmackDown did.
Well,
they do it to our Uncle Bully, so we're doing it to them.
So
that's right.
So take that.
Hold on. There's 8 people that aren't watching that show right now, so it's really digging into your ratings.
Yes.
Plus us.
Hey,
and
they're
all Nielsen
That's
houses.
11.
Yes. And where's Andre with our drops? What the fuck?
Yeah. We'll work on that post.
Boy.
All right, folks.
The meat's good.
Yes.
Did you see Denise actually posted it again today?
Yes.
I love Denise.
She's embracing.
She's growing on me, man. I like
the gimmick. She's embracing the gimmick.
I like Denise and Mark. They're a good combo on Saturdays. They have a lot of fun on the show. Yeah. Although Mark gets kind of heated lately.
Yeah.
Not to rehash the show, but Mark had some hard words this week.
Other than she's a nerd and Taylor Swift sucks, that's the only thing I'll say. But
my only comment,
I like
my
her.
only comment about Mark Henry being heated is, and like you guys heard, what time in the morning do you wake up and decide it's a good idea to piss off the world's strongest man? I have to know that answer, so I never wake up at that time in the morning.
The man can bend friggin' cast iron pot hands and roll them up he's rolling a blunt.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but it's not a good one.
I do want to give credit. Like, Denise has gotten a lot of great coaching from the folks at Busted Open since she's joined, and I think she's grown a lot as a host.
You know what? Some people say good coaching, other people say bad influence. You decide.
Speculate amongst yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Speculate wildly. All right, folks. I'm hungry. I need to go eat.
Okay. We'll go. Elder will keep going.
All right, I'll be back.
Rest in peace, James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
What
a legend, man.
Wow. Watch his biography. They had it on BET this weekend. Or not this weekend. I mean this past week. I saw it on BET, and it was a wonderful biography about him, his whole life and career, and that's a chunk of movie and entertainment history gone, but forever with us and just always an icon. I mean, everyone knows him from Darth Vader, but John, me and you, we go Dulce Doom, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Coming to America, Lion King.
Coming
there's
to America, the
Jesus.
Lion Jackie was the Lion King. So that's my point. Every person in America just relates to this man, whether it's from a Broadway play, a movie, a voiceover. How many people knew him as "This is CNN"? You know, I mean, just unbelievable. So, you know,
It's funny,
rest
Mike,
in peace and Godspeed, brother.
if any actor had even one of those iconic roles, they'd be considered one of the greats. But he had like 10 of them. Well, he had so many things.
No, amazing career, and the world lost. I mean, a real. That's just a chunk of iconic, you know, American culture that died.
But I also think when you're 93, I think he was, right? Like
Field of Dreams. Yes, thanks, John.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, at 93, he kind of won. Like he succeeded in life.
Yes.
Like,
he did because
he absolutely beat the curve.
In his documentary, he said what he wanted to do was do what his father and his father's father before him couldn't do, and that was have a relationship and a nurturing relationship and with his son, and that's what he had. And if anybody doesn't know, James Earl Jones's dad is he was the butler in Trading Places. Thank you, Mr. Duke. Maybe $5. Half of that's from me. Thank you, Mr. Duke.
I didn't know that.
Now maybe I can go to the movies by myself.
Wow.
Yes. And they did get back together and, you know, mend their relationship in later years. But I just wanted people to know that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, guys. John, where can people find you?
You can find me at Twisted Metal Fab on the X and the Instagram, and keep up with the exploits of the most dangerous weapon in professional wrestling. Of course, I'm talking about the AK9K, the Ass Kicker 9000, who has new stickers and photos available on his Instagram at Ass Kicker 9K on Instagram.
Well, and it's my understanding that AK9K made a new friend today.
Yes, a fellow AK. We were at an indie show locally here. Shout out to Bell to Bell Wrestling that had their show today over at the Monster Factory here. And in attendance was, like I said, a fellow AK, as in Allison K was on the card, and she had a meeting and greeting with myself and AK9K.
Hey, John, I just got one question for you. Did AK9K and AK play, or did AK don't play?
No, AK and AK9K did not play yet, although interest was expressed that maybe somewhere down the road, if their paths cross, something could be in the works.
AK don't play, but if you hand her AK9K, she might play with that on somebody's head.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Exactly. And I just one other quick thing I wanted to bring up that happened today. John Bay, go fuck yourself.
All right, Mike, how about you?
It's my Mongrovian Mike. And I just want everybody to know that James Earl Jones soliloquy I did, that'll be the last, that now it's just going to be wrestling for that'll be the last non-wrestling thing I watch for I don't know how long again. So I hope you all enjoyed that, because now it's back to wrestling. Mongrovian Mike, man. Love you all.
All right, man. I am PW Front Row across all the socials. You can find us at Nation's Corner on Twitter /X, The Nation's Corner everywhere else. Shout out to everybody behind the scenes that helps make the show. RA and Deb and Tony and everybody on the team that helps bring the show to life. Appreciate everybody. You guys have a good week. We'll talk to you again next week. Later, y'all.